Creative Writing Unit by Bristol Flory. First, I created a grammar lesson plan. My state standard involved students orally reading grade level text at an appropriate rate, and my objective was that the students will read with expression. For my hook, I found a long A song that was super catchy and I think will benefit students. For our exploration, I will discuss other vowels that say their name and how. And then we will review and discuss long A. This is where we will ask low-level Bloom's questions to check for understanding. For our We Do assignment, we will break into small groups or groups of 2 to work on our cupcake assignment. This is one where the students will look at multiple words that are long A and some are not, and they'll have to decide which ones have the long A sound and paste them onto their cupcake. For our You Do assignment, students will read a paragraph, they'll highlight all of the long A words, and then they will have to find a matching picture and paste those next to that word. For our formative assessment for this lesson is what stuck with you. This is where students will write on a sticky note and they will be allowed to put something that stuck with them. And then for their formative assessment, this is our long A competition. So this is when the students will be able to write any kind of sentence that has details and has as many A words in it as they can come up with, as long as the sentence makes sense. And then after that, they will draw a picture matching that, and it will go into a little competition where students are able to turn them in, and they will, if they would like, they can be judged by other teachers, and then for first, second, and third place for prizes. This will help them with their creativity and encourage them to participate to their full ability because there's a reward with it. For accommodations and modifications for my grammar lesson, I thought of ELA learners that you could put their paragraph both in the English language and their native language. This would help them to be able to transition them out and be able to see them both ways. For dyslexic students, I thought that it would be beneficial to read the directions out loud and maybe even read the paragraph out loud in the You Do activity. And then for visually impaired students, I think that you could create the worksheets in larger font or the pictures in larger font as well. And make sure to add more space between them, because I know that, like with me personally, if things are spread out a little further, then I am more likely to see it than if they're all crammed together. The changes that I've made for dyslexic students and for visually impaired students will not hurt any type of student, even if they don't have to have any changes. These are only things that will benefit all students. So this is something that could be easily changed for everyone as well. Next, we created the spelling lesson plan. My state standard was students will correctly spell grade appropriate words, and then my objective was the same thing, was that the students will be able to spell the appropriate words. For our hook, I found an Alpha Blocks video. This will draw students into our long A and how that works, and how it can be a long A or it can be a short A, and what words help those become, or what other letters help those become long or short. During our exploration or I Do time, we'll discuss how vowels say their names in different words with our previous knowledge, so other vowels that we've looked at, and then we're going to introduce our long A terms and our spelling words for the week. Our spelling words are wait, tape, rain, gain, sail, shade, wave, sail, plane, and bake. For our We Do, small groups are going to play the spelling game. We're going to play the spelling game over and over and over again until students have played it throughout multiple groups, and that there's only one person left in the whole room who has not lost yet, and that person will get to go to the treasure chest to pick out a treat. And then You Do, students will compose 10 silly sentences. These sentences can be as silly as they want, as long as they're complete sentences and they involve a spelling word. This way, students are beginning to practice our details, because details are very important in our creative writing assignment as well. For our formative assessment, we are going to take our spelling test. These will check for the understanding of the spelling in the long A words. And then our performance assessment, students will create 10 different sentences. These must be complete sentences, and they must contain one spelling word in each sentence. They need to be used in the correct definition and they need to be spelled correctly. Some accommodations and modifications for spelling is that some students may struggle with just hearing the word and writing it. A great way to help these students is to have a fill in the blank test. This is where the sentence there will be a sentence and it will have a blank, and the students will be able to fill in the blank with the correct spelling word. For our hearing impaired students and our ELL learners, it will be beneficial to turn on the captions during our video and anytime they listen or we read, to make sure that there's an appropriate volume for these students as well. Providing a physical copy of our spelling words and any other type of activities that we do will benefit all learners, not just ELL students and other students who might need a physical copy as well. Finally, we created a creative writing lesson plan. My state standard involves students composing different types of sentences, and then our objectives was that students will compose sentences. Our hook was that I found a creative writing video that discusses how important details are in writing and what they add to the story, so it helps the reader not be bored. Our exploration or I do time, where we will discuss how we create sentences, what goes into a sentence to make it a complete sentence, and then how important it is to add details into those sentences to hook your readers. I found a really cool anchor chart that will be really beneficial for students to see ideas on how they can bring details into what they are writing. Our We Do assignment is, as a class, we are going to create a Mad Libs over the topic, the substitute teacher. This will be fun and silly and allow the students to add in little words here and there as I draw their names to create details into the story, and then at the very end we will read it all and we will see how that makes a movie in our minds, even if it's a silly one. During our You Do, we will create a short story using a dice and the dice sheet that is below. This will give them a prompt and then help them to build a story. They will also be required to include 5 long A words. For our formative assessment, we will do an exit ticket. We will have to answer 5 questions about a sentence placed on the board. These will help to see the comprehension level for students as we are learning about details. And then for our performance assessment, students are going to be able to create a short story of whatever they would like to tell about. As long as they include details, they have complete sentences, and it is 5 sentences or more. Accommodations and modifications for this last lesson include that vision impaired students may need a copy of the Mad Libs in front of them instead of having to look to the board for it. Students with hearing loss, something that will help students with these is turning on the captions to those videos once again so that they are able to read them or they're able to hear them. And we can also turn up the volume to that video up to a certain point. ELL learners, something that could help these students is including their language in the captions. So there's some videos where you can add the English language and another language in the captions as well. I could also create our anchor chart in both languages, and that may be beneficial to them as well.